Namaste, everyone. Today, we finally get to the fun stuff. I'd like to introduce you to my very favorite toy of all. This video is only for people in groups 2 through 7, though. People in groups 8 and 9 are not ready to use a log. If you're in group 9, of course, you can't even get to the ground. And while you technically can in group 8, you're not limber enough to really be able to do this without causing yourself more pain than relaxation. So this is just for people in groups 2 through 7. So once again, there's always a little bit of prep, right? You already know how important it is to clear out your area, right? You need room to work. For the log, there is an extra tidbit like that that's just as important. And that is, you do have to make sure you don't have anything loose on your body. Not at all. No loose clothing, no loose hair of any kind. It will get caught at a bad time, and you'll get stuck in a bad way that requires you to tense things up in the worst possible way just to get out of being stuck. Okay? It does, if your relaxing exercise ends up making you feel more tense, because you keep getting stuck, it's just no good, right? Believe me, I have tried to cheat every way I could think possible, and I just don't see how it's possible. So, of course, that's a bit difficult for a lot of people again, right? I mean, how many people own this much spandex? I mean, I've been making sure I wear spandex for all these videos because you need to see my posture. But for most of that stuff, you can be wearing whatever clothes you want. It doesn't really matter, right? If you want to see your posture, yes, it's helpful to have something more form-fitting. But if you're feeling your way and you don't need that mirror, what does it matter, right? Well, for this, it matters. It matters a lot. So if you're stuck and you don't have any spandex, don't worry about it. Just make sure you do it when you have a little privacy and take your clothes off, right? This does not have to be a public event. Do it in your underwear, not boxers. If you're a guy and you wear boxers, they got to come off. Sorry. Matter of fact, you might want to find yourself a pair of regular briefs for this activity so you don't have anything hanging loose, right? So you get the idea. Nothing loose, absolutely nothing. For your hair, no ponytails, no braids. It goes up in a bun, or better yet, get one of those nice little swim caps. You can't use something like a shower cap, it'll just fall off. But if you get something like a swim cap, you can get everything tucked up inside and it'll stay there securely and it won't fall off your head. You're good to go, right? So the third thing you might want to do for prep is just to wrap your log. Maybe take a minute here to talk about what kind of log to get too. This was way back in the beginning in the introduction, but if you somehow skipped that and you didn't get a log yet, you're going to have to go get one before you can do this, obviously. You want to make sure you get one that's a medium density. I was talking about wrapping it, but let's kind of go over what the log should be. Medium density, soft is too soft, hard is too hard, right? Medium's good. Baby Bear's porridge works almost every time, right? You also want to make sure you get the longer one. There are ones even a little longer than this, but there's another version that's half as big. It's like a travel size, and that's no good because then you can't use it in this direction. You can only use it in this way, or else it'll only cover half of your back, and it's practically, I mean, you don't want to say it's pointless, but get the proper length. You need a longer log so you can do all the body positions you might want to do, right? Also, make sure you get one that has bumps. A lot of the ones, don't buy one of these things in a store. Don't do it. They all are terrible. And you'll probably not even find one with bumps in a store. They're going to have stuff that's either flat like a pool noodle, or you're going to find stuff that's got weird stripes on it. And that actually is a problem. It's understandable why that sort of thing sells, because people think it's a lovely idea. And if they have sensitive spots in their back, they don't want to use something with bumps because it presses on their sore spots, right? Understandable. I get that. But it's still a completely bad idea for everybody, no matter what, because your body cannot be relaxed like that with a flat surface. In nature, there is absolutely no such thing as a straight line or a completely flat surface, right? It just doesn't even exist. There's always ups and downs and nooks and crannies. And when you use something flat, what ends up happening is that you just end up hitting all of your trigger points over and over and over. Like, you can't ever get into the nooks and crannies. The only thing you ever hit is the one thing that you didn't want to beat on. So they're just very ineffective. So make sure you get something with bumps, and that's about it. Oh, and don't spend $80 on a log. Okay, they're way overpriced. I've used them. They're no better than the $20 versions. I've never tried a $7 one. I'm guessing they're maybe going to crush more. I'm guessing they're not as good in some way, but the $25 ones are going to be just fine. So, yeah, the thing to do is get yourself a proper log. And then in the beginning, it's a good idea to wrap it, like fold up a small blanket or get a really nice thick towel. I like to use my vest. It's got like nice leather and then a thick padding. Now, loose clothing is a problem. Loose wrap on the log is not a problem. The worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to go in one direction that unrolls it. You'll have to stop and sit up for a second to rewrap your log. That's not the same thing as getting stuck in some weirdo position and being unable to move without causing yourself pain, right? So that's it. The keys to remember when you're rolling around on this thing, mostly you already know again, right? Belly breathing, still important, always important. Start of every exercise, start by sitting there and tuning into your body and breathe, right? Number 2, ever wiggle, never force. Always been important. It's really important now. It's not quite such a danger yet here in stage 1 on the log because everything's brand new. You're very unlikely to go around trying to force something because you don't think you know what you're doing yet, right? That's a good thing. That's a very helpful thing because you don't want to get clever. You don't want to get clever and start thinking you know where things go. As soon as you go there, you're going to end up putting something where it doesn't belong. And what took you this much time to put out of alignment will probably take you a good week to get back into place again, okay? So I remember when I first started using the log, that really freaked me out. The chiropractors are always hollering about it. It makes a lot of sense, but we're stuck in a very difficult position, right? Either everything feels good, like even if you're cracking your knuckles in the bad way, it still gives you those happy brain chemicals that says, ooh, motion is good, even though you're building up scar tissue, right? So you got a problem of having good feelings, even when you do something bad. And you also have the opposite problem of, if you've had a horrible injury or a very sore spot or something like that, everything hurts no matter what. So how are you supposed to use how you feel as a guide when you can't use how you feel as a guide, right? It is tricky. It is a little scary, but it's not as hard to deal with as you might think. First of all, remember, as a beginner, it's going to be a lot easier for you because you don't think you know what's best yet. You're just wiggling around, trying to see what feels relaxing. And as long as you keep following that sweet spot, you're not going to be forcing your way. Now, if you find enough of a sweet spot, it's like, ooh, more, then you might want to be a little careful, okay? You don't want to start pushing real hard on anything, right? But you get the idea. Being a beginner really helps. And the other thing that really helps is not the feel-good feeling you get from something moving, right? But the tingles. Like if your arm goes to sleep, for example, it works in reverse. You're cutting off circulation, so you don't even feel it when it's going to sleep. And then when it wakes up, it can be pretty intense, right? I mean, it can be so bad, it's like fire and ice, okay? You don't ever have to worry about fire and ice using this log. If you had a pinch that bad, you wouldn't be able to even think about looking at this log. You wouldn't even be able to lay down. I mean, you can't do that kind of damage to your spine and still be able to move. It's just, don't worry about it. It's not going to be that bad, not ever, But there is still going to be good and bad tingles. It still takes a little fine tuning. It is absolutely something physical and noticeable and consistent that you can use as a very helpful guideline, but it does still require a little bit of understanding to understand what kind of tingle you're dealing with. So for nerves, when you have the tingles because you're relieving pressure off of a nerve, it works the opposite that it does of circulation. When you take the pressure off, you don't suddenly get this flood like you do with your arm falling asleep, right? It takes a little bit to start. It's very gradual. It's very gentle. And then you just get this nice, lovely tingle as something that had been pinched is now starting to allow things to flow through again. It's very gentle, pretty mild, and within a couple of minutes it fades away. Your body gets adjusted to it ready. It's like, okay, things are open and moving, now it's good. And the nice little gentle tingles, they just go right away, right? When you have the bad kind of tingles, it's more like when your arm is waking up from falling asleep. That's when you want to watch out. You don't even have to have motion going on. Maybe you're just putting pressure on an area. And as soon as you put pressure on that area, you get instant strong tingles. Be wary. And if you play with a little bit, see what kind of tingles it is. If they don't start easing off, if they continue to maintain and increase their intensity, I mean, even with the good tingles for a little tiny bit of time, it does kind of grow a bit, right? But it's very gentle, right? It's not strong feeling like when your arm is waking up. When you have the bad kind of tingles, it's going to be more like the strong kind, and it's not going to go away. It's going to get worse as long as you press on that spot. It's going to continue getting stronger and stronger and stronger. That's the bad tingles. That's when you know that you're pressing on something that does not want to be pressed on. Back off. So that's not so bad, right? You have a warning system. It's going to let you know, probably, before something bad happens. In all my years of using this log, it's only in the last year, honestly. I've been using it for well over, I don't know, at least 15 years. I've been using this little log. And it's only in the last year that there were a couple of times that I was sure I knew what I was doing, right? It's like, oh, yeah, and it feels like it wants to move and there's a space. Sure enough, I put it into the wrong spot. Okay, it definitely did take me a week to put it back where it belonged again. So listen to those tingles, and then you don't have to worry so much about whether you're wiggling or whether you're forcing. So the third key is just to stay dead, right? And all the other stuff that you've been doing so far, you wanted to have this beautiful stick person posture, right? Not for this exercise. Throw away the stick person and just play dead. That's all you got to do. Gravity is going to take care of the rest. Just play dead. So there's one more key for when we're actually doing the exercises, but I want to show you how to get on this log while we're on the third key here, so that you can see how to get on it when you can't play dead yet. Because you can't just throw yourself on this thing. If you just throw yourself, oh my goodness, that's going to be rough. It's going to be a shocker. I mean, when do you ever have your back in that much of an arch in such a small area, right? This is not something to do quickly. So when I first get on the log, you line up your posture. You might have your feet a little wide. I like my feet wider when I do this. You just do an arm hang, right? Straighten out your arms. Kind of roll back a little. Let everything hang. Stretch it all out a little. If I'm good and relaxed, this stretch alone, I will usually feel my lower back move. Not forcing anything. It might not look like really wiggling, but you go slowly. Now, when I first started using the log, it probably took me 15 minutes just to get on the log. So keep in mind that what you're seeing here is a very fast version. Especially in the beginning, you want to take it real slow. So once you've been hanging for a bit, kind of stretched out a bit, you use your elbows to ever so slowly lower yourself onto the log. Your elbows hold the weight that hasn't yet become dead, right? Oh, and there we go. So I guess this isn't completely playing dead. I usually do have my knees up. They don't need to be. It depends on what's comfortable for you. Maybe you can let them knock together a bit if it's tiring, but yeah, okay. So I guess basically when I say dead, what I mean is the top half of your body. Make sure that the top half of your body, your legs should be fairly relaxed, but the top half of your body needs to be just totally dead. And then once you're here, all you do is hunt for the sore spots. Even after all this time, everybody plays on their phones every day. I always have a sore spot in my old man hunch area. That's where we all like to slouch. The thing to remember is to hunt your spots and go in circles. See, most people are tempted when they get on this thing to just go back and forth and roll on it. That looks like what it's for, right? Very bad idea. I'm pretty sure that is the reason that for about 10 years, I found these things on yard sale tables every single time I went to a rummage sale. I swear. Like, they were everywhere. Nobody wanted to keep them because they didn't realize how to use them. If you just go rolling up and down on this thing and you haven't already worked out all the knots in your back, it's going to hit all your sore spots. That's all you're going to do is just hit all your trigger points of pain, and that's all it's going to accomplish. You're going to end up being a lot more tense than when you got on the log. It's not how you use it. Stage 1, you go in circles. You don't roll back and forth. Every knot you have, there's going to be an edge around it, where that edge, if you play with it and massage it, just like having a sore leg muscle, right? You just have to do it by feeling, right? You do it in a way that feels good. So go around wherever your knot is. You go around the edges of that knot on this log, and you just slowly work your way in. And all you're doing is following that wonderful, good feeling of sweet relaxation as you work your way around a knot. So if I go back to my sore spot here, just relax and breathe. Very, very slowly over on the edges. Now again, what you're seeing here is super, super fast. Okay, in the beginning, it might take you 20 minutes just to do one circle around one knot. Okay? If you're on the more sore side, this log is going to be your best friend in the world. You'll find that you end up rolling around on this thing for an hour and not even noticing. You'll think you were there for 15 minutes, but it feels so good, and your body feels it just right. I mean, it feels good. That's just the bottom line. It feels so wonderful to do. Oh, kind of losing track of my spot. All right, there we go. Well, I got it again. But you won't want to stop. Doesn't matter whether you want to relax for the day. We're still on the camera here. Mostly. All right. Running way the heck off the screen here. Hey, this is part of why you need a big area, right? Just keep spinning in circles. Working your way in. And eventually, whatever spot you're on will stop being a sore spot. It'll just be gone. I have a friend who knew how to pinch your knots. You know, she would come in and use her 2 fingers. She'd find the center of your knot, and she would just pinch it like a vice. And after like 20 seconds of unbearable agony, maybe only 10, but it feels like forever when it hurts, right? It would just release, and your knot would be gone. This is the pain-free way to accomplish the same thing, no matter how deep and ugly and long-standing that knot is. So that's really it. The key to stage 1 is nothing more than learning to hunt the sweet spot and spinning in circles. That's key number 4. That's how you use the log. You don't roll, you go in circles. I almost forgot to show you the neck, because one of the main spots that we're always tense is our neck, right? We carry the weight of the world on our shoulders. So for your neck, actually I should show you where the atlas is first. It's better to do this on your knees, but if you have to, you can do it on your butt. You just kind of slouch over, this time slouch on purpose. Right at the top of your neck, you'll find one bone that sticks out more than all the rest. And that's what chiropractors call your atlas bone. Some chiropractors will adjust your neck like this. There are whole schools of chiropractic that do not. The only bone that they will adjust is that atlas bone. And by adjusting that, the whole rest of the neck will come into alignment. I can tell you, my chiropractors have always been these guys. But having worked with this log for a couple of years now and not having had access to chiropractors anymore, um, I can tell you that that really works. Just relaxing that top bone area is enough to help me bring my whole neck back to where it wants to be. So that works very well. So when you want to relax your neck, you'll in the beginning you might get distracted by knots all in your lower back, but stop to remember if there's one thing you might want to remind yourself of to try in the beginning, don't forget your neck because that is where all of our tension starts. It starts up here. By the time it gets to our lower back, things have been bad for a long, long time, right? So if you are, again, I've been using these things for 15 years. I can make this look fast and easy. Go slow, right? But if you're on your log and you want to do the neck, the thing to do is go to the edge of the log. Oh, that feels so lovely. Use the edge of the log, ooh, to dig into these soft areas in your neck right here. Right here. If you do it like this, that's no good, is it? I mean, you can see that this is the pillow problem, right? You're holding your neck in the splits. Might be comfortable to lie on, but you're not doing your neck any good. This is actually causing problems, not relieving tension. This log is the wrong size to adjust anyone's neck, period. So what you have to do is go over to the edge. That way it gives a place for your head to hang off. Go kind of crooked, right? Let your head hang off the edge. And just use the corner of the log here to dig into those spots in your neck. Again, in stage 1, you want to focus on keeping your body dead. Just be dead, do your belly breathing, find your knots, chase those knots, spin in circles. With your neck, you're not going to go in circles so much. You're more limited, and you kind of got to do one side at a time. But that's okay. Use the corners of the log to dig into both sides of your neck and let that whole area relax. It works just fine. Also, there's one other note. Oh, we're running out of light here. There's one other note for people with scoliosis. If you go to a regular chiropractor, wow, it's a lot worse, right? They've been trained to use a sequence of motion that works for alignments that go in one direction or misalignments that only go in one direction. And when it gets real creative, they start to get real nervous, understandably, because they don't know where to push. There's way too many directions going on. It gets a lot harder to do. This is not a chiropractor, okay? From nature's point of view, there is absolutely no difference at all. What you're doing when you spin in circles on this log is you are creating full range of motion, 360-degree range of motion, without 2 years of yoga classes, right? You don't have to worry about it. Your body-mind knows where things belong. They know what steps to, maybe it won't be from out to where it belongs. Maybe it'll be in stages. But your body knows what you need when you need it, and that's what it's going to do. You don't have to worry about it because you don't need to know where to make things go. It's not your job to move bones. It's your job to relax muscles so that your body can simply put the bones back where it goes all by itself. And it really does happen. When I am in excellent health, I've done this at a few points in my life now. If I'm staying completely relaxed all of the time, I can just be reaching for the cookie jar and my whole spine will self-align like dominoes. If my body sees everything lined up in the way it wants to go, it'll just move all by itself. You don't have to worry about making things move. That's an automatic. You just work on relaxing those muscles. So I think that's about it. I did give you a big spiel about making sure you have bumps, right? However, that still might be a bit aggressive for some folks, even if it's smaller bumps. You might be ready to do log work, but it's still just too much to have a log this tall with bumps on it, in which case the pool noodle becomes your best friend. Unlike the flat rollers that you will buy in a store or online, this is much more crushable So you don't have to worry about it pressing on your bad spots. It doesn't really function like a flat surface because it's so soft. So if you need something to get started on that gets you able to start moving around a little and start going in circles around those sore spots, a pool noodle, I mean, you can cut a little shorter, but a pool noodle will serve you well. So that's it. I think that's all the tidbits we have. I sure hope you enjoy this log as much as I do. I tell you, if I've had a hard day, this is the best masseuse you will ever have. So enjoy, and we'll see you soon. Namaste.